Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We have a phenomenal topic. It's all about customer reviews and reputation management today. It's one of my favorite topics of all time. We invested heavily into this subject matter 12 years ago when we saw it coming on the scene with Google reviews, and we've just been on the forefront of it literally every day with our clients. So it's going to be a great webinar. When we work with a client, we want to have a high converting website. We do SEO for them. Google ads really gives you that jump start. Facebook ads, you're getting a lot of leads from that. This is today's topic, boosting your online reputation. We want to nurture those leads, do social media, and track your ROI so you know where your money's going and what your return is getting. So since we all get a lot of distractions, hopefully we're up and running now and we can just go straight through. I think we're good. I think it's just, I want to try to convince you it's worth the investment to just like focus in on this. It could be game changing. So it's your cell phone, Facebook, Slack, text, any of those kind of interruptions. If you can kind of put that on pause, I promise to give you some great content. And then I'm going to pass the baton to you and ask you to apply it. And I'm convinced it's going to really make an impact on your company. So with that in mind, what we're going to cover today, I'm going to cover some of the best tools and like really what you should be looking for and how to use a multi-channel communication just to give you the most amount of reviews. And then we're going to talk about a team sport that everyone needs to be in the company working on this and just so aware of every single interaction with the customer and why it's important to acknowledge and respond to every single review, preferably in a timely fashion. But if you can't get it to it right away, even if you have old ones, I'd encourage you to jump in. And then I love the word culture because the best companies do have a culture, and the culture is really values that everyone agrees upon and they live out. So just a quick background about me. I'm the owner and CEO of Rainmaker Internet Marketing and Rainmaker for Contractors. I own a basement waterproofing company. It's really where I learned internet marketing, where I spent a lot of time in leads and sales. We are an award-winning Google Premier Partner. The Premier means we're in the top 4% of all partners worldwide. Actually, tie that in. I've been on the board of directors for Basement Health Association for over a decade, former president. And we work, this is probably the most important thing, we work primarily just with basement waterproofing and foundation repair folks. Picture the board of directors. Google's flown me to their headquarters 3 different times. One time we won a contest. We were the top 50 partners in the world. And that was an awesome conference. John was with me on that one. So why are customer reviews so important? Because they really can make and break your reputation. You could have so much in line, like so much aligned with, you could have your mailers, you could have the door knocking canvassing department, you could have shows, you could have yellow pages in some of the older communities, and then all your internet marketing, like working like a machine, even TV and radio, everything. But if your online reputation isn't working, it's going to trash all those leads because everyone's checking you out before they're calling, or at least 90% as we'll discover. So it doesn't reflect the top quality service that you provide often, because if you don't have a proactive way to get a lot of reviews and you're just hoping that people post reviews, and so many reviews pass me by, like cut me off. It was going 65 miles an hour down the highway and you get a 1-star review because they're angry. Or you do an amazing job and someone throws a cigarette butt on the front lawn and they don't like your cleanup. Yet it's everything else is just so in line. So, you know, you're going to get those. That's why you just really have to have a proactive, like lots and lots of reviews constantly. Here's the most popular tools for customer reviews. I'm familiar with a lot of these. I've seen them all. They really have 2 features that you want. And when someone comes on board with us, we actually have our own, and it works great. But the 2 features you want for these are to be able to text a customer, request for a review with a link, or to be able to do an email request with a link that they could click the link and they could post a review. And behind that is to have a sequence. So you might be able to text or email them. They don't respond. A couple days later, you can have that automated for that request. And then you can also have that automation shut down. So when they do post a link, or at least when they click the link to post a review, it will shut down the automation. So it's good to have those features in place. The thing about tools is I've seen companies invest into tools, but nothing happens really. Like it's so critical that you create this company culture and that you be proactive and that you make it happen, because a tool is just a tool. You have to use the tool. You still have to change your habits and routines on a daily basis, not only of yourself and your managers, but everybody else as well. The other thing that I like to do is I like to watch what the competition is doing. I like to see how they're getting reviews and at what pace. I was talking to some folks last week, and when I owned my basement waterproofing company, we had the most reviews. We did really well. In fact, there was a competitor that's very well known that's one of the biggest waterproofers around, and we killed them we had way better reviews. We had more reviews. They had horrible complaints with the Better Business Bureau and so on. It's not until recently, like the last year and a half, they've really accelerated their reviews, and they made some changes. They've been able to bury the negative reviews, and they're now asking for reviews with every single lead, and their rating has gone up as well. So it's a clever strategy. I'm guessing a lot of people are going to do that. The people that want to grow, the people that want a better online reputation, so that they can convert more leads, they're going to be going down this path, this method. One of the things that I really like about customer reviews is you can stand out from your competition and you can take control of this. If you're in basement waterproofing and foundation repair, especially the waterproofing aspect, sometimes it feels like you don't always have control over your growth, because sometimes you're overly dependent upon the water. And then when it rains heavy, the phone rings and you get a lot of leads, and suddenly all your lead sources like bubble up, they double, they triple, and everything goes nuts. Sometimes it's frustrating because you're trying to grow your company and there's not water. So the thing I like about customer reviews is if you change, or if I change, then we can take control of our online reputation and really stand out amongst our competition, kind of regardless of the size. Like, unless you have a competitor that is big and similar to what I was explaining a minute or two ago, and they're really proactive, most are not doing that. So if you apply some of these things, I think you could really stand out amongst your competition in your service area. Again, these are the common tools. If you're with us, I would say don't use any of these tools. If you're not with us and you're just trying to learn, there's a lot of good tools. Some are more expensive than others. If you talk to any of these sales reps, they're not going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. But largely what they do is they offer texting, they offer email with a link, and some of them will have an app that people can pull up on their phone. You could use the app, or they could bookmark a link to just a text. So it's all about the same. So allowing your reputation to speak for itself. I can't emphasize this enough, that your reputation will affect every single lead source that you have. It will affect it for good, or it will affect it for bad. And we work with clients that spend a lot of money on leads. They grow, they get bigger, they reinvest in leads, they hire more sales reps, they get bigger and bigger. That thing that goes along with spending money on leads is changing your company culture so that everyone is proactive getting leads. So to be the go-to basement waterproofing and foundation repair company in your area, you've got to rank accordingly to maximize your conversions. So, I've been, up until now, I've really been emphasizing that having 5-star reviews, having a great reputation will convert more leads because people are doing the research. The thing that I really haven't mentioned is if you look in the 3-pack or the listings under the Google map, those areas do get influenced by customer reviews. How often you have them, what your reviews are, and how recent they are. And so that gives you an opportunity to influence your reviews as well. So do online reviews matter? Even after what I've shared in the few minutes that I have, it's kind of a ridiculous question. It's huge. It's literally a game changer. Here's a couple stats for you. 84% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. So because basement waterproofing foundation repair is not like using a plumber, where everyone's got a plumber, usually, once a year or something, you call in a plumber. Typically for our industry, people aren't being used as much. Many of our clients, they do higher end work and it's a one-time fix. So there's not as many friends to ask in the neighborhood. And it's not always a thing that you want to advertise that you had a broken foundation or you had basement waterproofing or flooding or so on. So oftentimes this is an industry where people are typing online, they're going right to Google and they're researching, who should I go with? So 84% of people are trusting online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. 77% of consumers think that the reviews more than 3 months old are not relevant. And both of these stats that we're throwing out are from Bright Local. It's a tool we've used for probably over 10 years now. I've emphasized that with clients. You may at one time have gotten a lot of reviews and maybe you're that king and you have the most and you're like, you know what, we don't have a ton of reviews, but the competition, they only have like 5 or 10 and we have like 30 or 40, so we're good. Yet 3/4 of the people are saying unless those are current reviews, they don't really care. They want to see like, what'd you do last week? What'd you do last month? Maybe I'll get that same crew that just did such a phenomenal job. So Google reviews, it's just mission critical. I want to continue to give you great content here, but it's really all in the application. We can't be professional learners. We just got to like jump in and try to apply this stuff. You may not apply it perfectly, but at least you're taking action. And then you're building that muscle memory to take action. And then you can make adjustments based on the feedback that you get. Here's the Google Maps section of why are online reviews important. We've all done it. We've all typed in Google and we've all looked at reviews. Some people will filter and look for the worst reviews and read a couple and say like, how bad is this company really? And some will just get the average. But out of these 3 listings here, who would you call? And if you're going to consider 3 companies, you're probably going to click, do a little bit more research and find out there's probably 20 or 30 waterproofers in the area. But just out of these 3, if it's me, I'm definitely clicking and looking at this EverDry Waterproofing of Grand Rapids. They have way more reviews than everybody else. In sales, we sometimes will say that people have a sheep mentality, that they kind of follow the other sheep. Well, if you have a sheep mentality, I'm concluding off of just looking at these reviews that this company, like most people are going with this company. It feels safe to me because most everyone has chosen this company and they have great ratings. So I'm definitely going to have these people out. There's another stat that I didn't include in this, but there's a stat that says that 70% of the people are making up their mind before their rep has even gone to the door. So it's going to increase your lead flow because people are researching you beforehand. It's going to improve your rankings, but it's also going to increase your closing percentage because people are influenced before you're even getting to the door. Here is another one out of these 3 companies. Who would you contact? This is EverDry in Michigan, 312 reviews. It's a lot of reviews. Like I'm thinking most people are going with this company. This bottom one that has like, 9 reviews? I didn't even have directions to their place. Like, are they real? I don't know. So you could see it. If you could ask yourself your question, ask this question to yourself, what would you do if you were the customer? If you could put your mindset in the customer's eyes and feel what they feel, look through their eyes, that might really influence your behavior on what you're going to do with your company and how you're going to get more reviews. A little review here. They impact your Google rankings. 88% of consumers will look at online reviews and they will help convert all of your lead sources because it's too easy. Whether you do shows, canvassing, mailers, TV, radio, internet marketing, you're going to get searched. So why is controlling and managing your online reviews critical to you? If you're a sales manager or an owner that emphasizes sales, you're thinking, I want that higher closing percentage. If you're in lead gen, you're thinking probably, well, if we're getting checked out and we have all these lead sources, I want to convert more of those leads. Or maybe you're just wanting to rank higher. So there's a variety of reasons, and all 3 are totally legit as to why you want to get more reviews. So 5 key principles. 1, provide world-class customer service. So I like this line to over-deliver and under-promise. Honestly, for the internet, it starts with the ad. Is the ad well-written? Is it presentable? And then it starts with the phone call and how someone answers the phone and the tone that they use. Does it sound helpful? I'm a stickler with little things, like when I get put on hold, I like someone to say, sure, let me check. Can I please put you on hold? I like that instead of like, hold on. Like, I want to say one more thing there. Is little manners. Are your employees trained well to even work the phone, which is an indicator of, quite honestly, everything. Are these employees disciplined? Do they understand customer service? If there's an issue, will they care? Or are they going to be treated like they're at the DMV saying, next, we don't care. I've been doing this job for 25 years, just another phone call? Or do they realize that every phone call, there's a person behind that with a need, and we have the opportunity to serve them? So always provide a world-class service. The other thing that I will mention here is I believe in the law of reciprocity. When I was the owner, I always wanted our production manager at the last day of the job, when the job is finished, they're coming in with the work card and the check or the finance paperwork. I always wanted to watch that take-in to see the production manager ask this one question, and that is, what did you do to over-deliver? What did you do for the customer that they did not expect? And sometimes it's dragging the bushes to the curb or digging out a bush that they wanted to get rid of, or sometimes it's replacing their kitchen sink and going to Home Depot and putting in a $40 new sink and it looks amazing. Those are the two common ones that we would do. And the customer is so blown away at that when you go and ask for a review, the law of reciprocity says, like, gosh, you've so over-delivered. You guys did an amazing job with cleanup. The communication was phenomenal. For sure, I would post a review. And I would say, get it right there, because even the best intentions, we get distracted, we forget. We're like, you're gone a few days later, and then they see one little thing, and they're like, I'm not sure if I'm as motivated. So second line, build online reviews, reputation into your company culture. I'm going to touch on this in a little bit, but some ideas on building company culture. Boy, there's a lot there. If you're an owner, you can't really assign this to one person. And it's a step in the right direction. Like sometimes owners will be like, yeah, I understand this is so important. I'm going to take this on. I'm going to make sure this happens. That's the owner that is doing a lot of different things. And suddenly that important thing of customer reviews is not as high of a priority. So they're like, yeah, okay, I'll delegate to somebody. I'll make sure that person calls after every job. To do this right, it has to go way deeper. It has to be everybody. So here's some ideas. In a staff meeting, maybe you do a weekly staff meeting, always start with reading the most current customer reviews. And it creates that positive energy, and it reinforces your mission that you're there to serve customers, create healthy living environment in your basement, in their basement, and just reinforcing that shows that you care about that. I'm going to talk about some incentive ideas as well. Another company culture thing is you could take like a line or two from a customer review and post it on your wall in the office. So create an environment where people are proud to be able to say, yeah, my work helped affect this customer review, and that's super satisfied customer. So I'll continue to talk about that. So 3, what you measure, inspect, and celebrate, you create more of. I think, in my opinion, this is the most important line of this webinar. And what's really interesting, when you take this famous line that we've probably have all heard, what you measure, inspect, and celebrate, you create more of. If you were to go through your company and ask yourself, what do I measure? What do I inspect? And what do I celebrate more of? What happens when you ask that question is your values come to the surface. So sometimes owners are trying to manage the money, and what they measure, inspect, and celebrate is getting money from the job as quickly as possible. Now, that helps them and the owner pay the bills, which is critical because employees want to get paid and so on. Employees don't always understand the challenges of an ownership. But doing that too much communicates the wrong message. For example, the production department, who works so hard on a day-to-day basis, trying to communicate with the customer, trying to do a good cleanup, trying to make sure everything gets covered, trying to eliminate dust, in all those areas. And then they find out, gosh, all the owner wants to know is if they're going to get paid at the end of the job. But anyway, let me take this a little bit further to measure, inspect, and celebrate. Do you celebrate customer reviews? Do you measure them? Like, do all your employees know, like, how many reviews you have on Google and what your rating is? Is that posted on the wall anywhere? Is it talked about? And then is it incentivized? And can you celebrate? Like, if you put realistic goals that you can get as a staff? Can you celebrate that? We actually, just a quick story about that. We were at something like 40, I don't know, let me say 32 reviews. It was something like that. And I was wanting to get 40. And so I said, hey, by the end of, it was like a 4-week period, if we get 40 reviews, and they have to be 100% legitimate, requested to the client, they have to post it. I want to celebrate that. And then I said, here's a dollar amount that we could celebrate with. You guys decide how to spend it. So first of all, let's throw out some ideas. Like, how would we want to spend that money? We can go to a baseball game. We can go to a spa. We can go to Top Golf. So we kind of brainstormed. And then we said, okay, that's what the prize is going to be. And then now we know where we have to go. We have 32. We need to get 40. And then we post it on the wall, and then we keep track. And then there's energy around that. And then there's also time off of work a little bit, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You could put some rewards behind that. So keep that in mind. If it's important to you, you're going to measure it, you're going to inspect it, and you're going to celebrate it. I mean, put goals on the wall and talk about them. Put them on everyone's door. Like, here's the actual, here's the goal, and then here's the prize if we hit this number. Okay, leverage best-in-class tools to request the tools. I will say that when you have the right tools, like whether it's what Rainmaker provides you or one of these tools that you've subscribed to, it just kind of makes it easier, and it does show there's an investment by the owner that you're trying to get these customer reviews. Biggest thing, though, the tools are not going to do it for you. You have to have the conversations with the customer. You have to create the company culture. You have to follow up with the customer. Sometimes you kind of need to almost create those awkward situations where you're saying like, hey, would you mind, could you do that now? Could you post that review now? And as a matter of fact, I could just send you a text. You have your cell phone. If you gave me your cell phone number, I could just send you this text, and it's going to give you a link. It'll make it real easy for you. A lot of people are already signed into Gmail, so that they can post it right there. So leverage tools, and then acknowledge and respond to every review. So this is really critical. When we do social media for our clients, unless it's Facebook paid ads, I like to be very direct with our customers. And I would say, you don't expect leads from social media. And I know there's hype in our industry that I've been in this industry for a little bit. So these hypes come and go. Like at one time it was like, oh, if you just have a Twitter account, you're just going to get all these leads. Like, I'm sorry, people don't go to Twitter for basement waterproofing companies. So I just like to say that it's important that you have regular posting on your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, so on, Instagram. We're doing Pinterest because people look at those. They want to know if you're active. And why? Because, well, you don't want to be the boarded up house in the neighborhood with 12-inch long grass, but people want to know if there's an issue with a job. Can they go to their Facebook page of the business and type something, and will the company respond? And if the customer sees that you've acknowledged and responded to every single review, good, bad, indifferent, something, within 24 hours, sometimes sooner, that's a positive thing. That's going to help you convert more leads. So I highly recommend. Now, that is something that you can delegate to someone if you don't want to do it yourself. That person can respond to every single review. And hopefully the majority of times it's going to be, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to create a healthy basement, and try to personalize that as best you can. They might have a dog that the crew connected with. Heard about Fido, sounds like a great dog. Something to make it personal. We had a competitor that every single review, they used like the same 2 sentences, and it just looked so canned and so fake. It didn't look like anyone was there. It looked like it was automation. It was a pleasure to serve you. It's not what we're looking for. So those are the positive ones. On negative reviews, which you're going to have, I always say, please keep in mind, who's ever reading it, they always side with the customer. I would say always take responsibility for your part. I have read reviews where I read the owner's response and the customer is just like a blatant liar. Like they're just friggin' lying. And I would, even with those, I would like try to reinforce the mission of the company. Like at ABC Waterproofing, we're always striving to do our best and create a healthy environment, regardless of the situation. Your case is no exception. In your particular situation, we did these things. In a really, really extreme thing, I would try to like not be reactive, but be proactive, explain like who you are. No matter who you are, we always do a great job for everybody. Sometimes you're clearly going to have to defend yourself and like tell the truth. Hopefully that doesn't happen much. If it's really bad, I would talk to your agency, because sometimes there's things that can be done. But remember, like, a lot of people are reading those, and oftentimes people go to the worst review. So you kind of want to watch how you respond to those. All right. So which one of those would you want to work on? A good place is to acknowledge even old ones. I can go back because it kind of looks good. People don't always check the dates. You can go back to all of your reviews on Google, especially. I've always, Google's the best place to do this. Do you need some tools to take a step in this area? Do you need to start celebrating and measuring and putting goals around the office? That would be a good one as well. And creating a company culture. And then do you need to work on your service? It's not the majority. It's kind of tightening up some of the loose ends. Like in waterproofing for me, that if we ever had a problem, it was usually the absentee homeowner. So what we would do is, if we had kind of had a game plan, if it's absentee homeowner, you're taking pictures on the job, you're calling the person at nighttime or during the day, you're trying to review, this is what we did, this is what we did. Talk to the homeowner in the evening, can you review the pictures, this is where I'm at. You just got to go way above and beyond, because the last thing you want is for them to show up on the day of payment and go like, what did you guys do? This is not what I was thinking when you're trying to close that job out. So it's usually those tougher areas that you kind of need to figure out how to not kind of get burned by the customer's extremely high expectations. All right, so like here's someone with over 1,200 reviews. I mean, this really stands out. If someone's going to get 3 estimates and you dominate your space, you're going to get that phone call. People are going to want to hear what you have to say. Just reinforcing all the things that I've mentioned. So some strategies for driving consistent reviews: leverage the tools. I've seen plumbing companies come into my house and kind of hit me up. Like I'm watching them when they're asking me for a review. Like I'm just so on it. I think I'm going to tape the next one. It's interesting for someone to approach me to ask for a review. And then sometimes they'll have like a printed card. Now, out of email and texting, I don't think printed cards work as well, because I think they get left behind. I kind of like that tech asking for the review on the spot. I think that's how you get the most. You can't always get that. It's not horrible to leave a printed review. I've seen contractors work shows, and when they have a booth at a home show or any of the other shows, and a customer walks by and they say, "Oh, you guys waterproof our basement, you're great." And they go, "Oh, great, hang on, come here." And then they pull out a flyer and it says like, "Hey, post a review." And sometimes they'll incentivize those, although you're not supposed to incentivize for reviews on Google, especially not Yelp. It's a way to take a previous relationship and kind of try to turn it into a positive and a benefit. So train your techs to plant the seeds and deliver a world-class experience. So there's a contractor in Texas, and every single interaction he has, starting from the estimate call, he says, "Hey, let me ask you, if you do decide to go with our company and we do a phenomenal job for you like we strive to do for all customers, would you be willing to leave us a 5-star review?" That's what I'll ask. And it plants that seed. And then when the sales rep goes to the house, before they're selling, in their credentials, they're saying, "You notice all of our reviews are super important to us. We take great pride in our work. And I would trust that if we did a great job for you, that you're going to leave us a review." And then when they close, all right, so then when the foreman opens, they're not all about, "I just want to get your check at the end of the job." They're saying, "I want you to be 100% satisfied and thrilled with our work, and we're really wanting to get that 5-star review." Now the check and the payment, that's a given. Like you're not going to send them an invoice. You're going to get paid at the end of the job. But when the foreman is even emphasizing this at the beginning of the job and at the end of the job, they could even do it check-in. If you have like a 2 or 3 day job, they could check in. "Hey, just want to review the job with you. We're going to do payment, and we're really looking for that 5-star review." Just reinforces it. And then at the end of the job, you could send them that text on their cell phone. They could leave the review right there when they're satisfied with everything, and then you get payment and go on. Now, if for whatever reason you can't get that, then you have the person at the office closing the work card, preferably the same day or the next day, and they're calling. They can send an email to the person and ask for a review there. So got to train your techs and create that culture. And it's like every single department is playing off of that. Just covered that. The next one, after a service call. Okay, so more and more companies are doing this. After a big job, they will send somebody out to the job to review with them. And it's about a 10 or 15 minute interview. And that's where you can review the inside, review the outside. Do you have any feedback for our company and how we can do better? Questions like some of the things they know, but they'd ask anyway, like, how did you hear about our company in the first place? What was the sales process like? What was the customer service like when we called? Was it easy to set up an appointment? Was the sales rep on time? Was he courteous? All these kind of questions, and you're documenting, and then you're also asking for a review there as well. It's definitely worth going down that path. So build those reviews and get recognition and inside your company culture, and leverage email, text, the apps, even a printed card at times if that's going to help you. Again, here's some common tools. Tools aren't going to do it for you. Like, you've got to change. That's the key to this. Here's a tool that we use. Each month we send an email out to let our customers know like how many reviews they have, where their rating is, and there's some different buttons that they could click to see what sources they have, what their rating is on the various sources. So how to respond to every review. Put a system in place to ensure that every review is tracked and measured. Take someone on your team which is responding to every single review. We talked about that one, but make it part of their job description. If you need to, take a picture of them and add it to their title and say, that's the person that responds to all of our reviews, no matter what. Every single source, whether it's Facebook or Home Advisor or Google, wherever they are, that's the person that's going to respond. And formulate a strategy for professionally addressing and dealing with negative reviews. When they're bad, I will sometimes call the customer. And if I know their personality and they're kind of a hothead, they're going to be like, I'm going to sue this person. This is defamation. This stuff isn't, like, I'm going to call this customer because I'm going to calm them down. And I'm going to say, don't respond right now. It's not going to help. So I try to walk them through it. And then we talk the next day and I'll give them some ideas on how to respond. So here's an example of how to respond in a positive way. These are like 2 great reviews. One's a 4-star, one's a 5-star. Be personable. If we could further assist you, please give us a call. All right, so 5 ways to create a company culture. So do something personalized for the customer. I talked a little bit about this when you train your foreman to over-deliver, to try to find that one thing that they would really like. I heard of one foreman, he was wearing a Tiger Woods baseball hat, and the customer really liked it, and the foreman decided to give him the hat. And it was just personalized, and that was kind of their thing. They were both like Tiger Woods fans. But try to find something personalized that the customer would appreciate in a way to over-deliver. Know what platform they use. For an example is if they came in through Facebook, then they might hang out a lot on Facebook. They're like Facebook people. So you could ask for a review through Facebook. Just kind of paying attention to where they came in and how they came in and what they use. That's helpful. I'll touch on this briefly, but not go deeply into it. Don't ask for Yelp reviews. You only want to ask for a review from a Yelper is if they are a Yelper, is if they already have a profile on Yelp. So we all know Yelp is very difficult to get positive reviews on, but there's a whole art to that. And I've seen a lot of contractors try to repair their reputation by just asking everyone to post on Yelp, and it doesn't work that way. Ask at every stage. You could do it at the estimate. Most of our clients do not mention it on the estimate call, but the sales reps all mention it. They'll mention it in the home because they really value that 5-star review. But to do that, you have to do a great job for the people, and everyone wants a great job done. So it's the sales rep and it's the foreman and the crew, and everyone's aligned, and they know that in today's world, there's like a huge microscope on companies. And it's like big bad corporate America against the victim homeowner, especially in this home improvement world that we live in. So everyone's just got to be aware of that. And it's really the owner's responsibility to be training everyone to be aware of how important every single interaction is, even driving on the highway and how they drive. That you cut someone off and that could cost you a review. Your company might be trying to move from like a 4.2 to a 4.4. And you need a lot of 5-star reviews to move that rating up, and because someone cut somebody off on the highway, it's not even related to your work, you can get dinged, and then you need that many more 5-star reviews to move past that. So everyone really has to be trained. So this number 4 is watch for peak customer happiness. Another way to say this is, when is the best time to ask for a review? I've heard some people say, well, we like to wait like at least a month or two, or at least kind of get a heavy rainfall just to kind of make sure that we're testing the job and it worked for them. I don't teach that or agree with that or buy into that. I like to ask them when they're happiest. And usually it's at the end of the job, and usually it's during the walk around when the crew's already done 99% of everything. And at one time it was an absolute complete disaster, and the homeowner's thinking, what did I get into? Like, I could never fix this. And then they're like super happy, and they're like, finally, peace of mind. This isn't going to happen again. Things won't get ruined. That's a really good time to ask them, usually sooner than later. And then employee reward program. Let me just sneak ahead a little bit. I'm going to unpack this a little bit more, but rewarding employees, having contests, posting things on the wall, those are all. So ways to incentivize the employees. You could have lunch with the owners. You could take them to a really nice restaurant, kind of gives them bragging rights, gives them recognition. Another one is you could do time off. Like the most reviews per quarter, you get a day off. I've heard of people, owners giving $100 every month to the employee that gets the most reviews or that have influenced the reviews. Sometimes it gets a little bit like who gets credit for this one, but figure out a system. I've also heard of a $2,500 check being given out at the Christmas party for the employee that gets the most reviews. So there's companies out there that invest a lot of money into getting reviews. So those are just some ideas. The gift of time. So talked about, time off, but maybe it's a cleaning service. Maybe it's they get a maid for the day or half a day or whatever it is, clean their apartment or their house. It's so nice to be able to walk into a house. Everything's just cleaned. Sometimes it's hard to find things, but it's nice to walk into a very clean house. Have like that champion mentality, that trophies and medals. It's just more acknowledgement. I've actually seen some owners, they'll buy trophies for various things. And that actually helps in recruiting when you're interviewing people. Having those competitive employees that like to win things, they want acknowledgement, they want rewards, that those trophies stay in the company and they're for display. But you could do this for customer reviews. It's just that important. And another nice thing is buying subscriptions for people. Like let's say you buy them Netflix for a year, or you buy them like a wine subscription where they get a free bottle of wine like once a month. So those are some ideas. If anyone has questions on anything or they want to pick my brain, I'm happy to help you with this. It's absolutely critical. Like I said, it can influence every single lead source that you have. Taking action and trying something is the key. You got to jump in. Again, the tools are not going to do it for you. Like you've got to change your habits and routines. You got to figure out what you measure, what you inspect, and what you celebrate. And I think you're really, in today's world, you've got to move this up high in the list. If you're interested in a free strategy session, we're happy to do that. We cover your rankings, your online reviews, of course, your directory listings, your social presence, and your converting factors on your website, and all sorts of stuff. More information probably than you want, but we do that for people. It's free. There's no cost or obligation. And if you have any questions, feel free to call our office. We're here to help contractors grow their business. Thank you for your time. You have a great day.